We are live, breaking news, college football's peek around the corner with your host, Greg Flugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell, smash that like button if you like our content, share the video with your family and friends. If you want to support the channel through a donation, hit the $sign, make a comment, and we'll get to your comment as soon as possible. Welcome into the corner that sits on the, welcome into the studio that sits on the corner, of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid to be a PATC legend with your phone calls and with your comments. Breaking news. Let's get right to it. Let's not waste any more time. Pete Thamel, sources. The Big Ten is expected to discipline Michigan for the in-person scouting and the ongoing sign-stealing investigation and will prohibit Jim Harbaugh from being on the sideline until the conclusion of the regular season. He will be allowed to coach during the week. So we've got 3 weeks left to go in the regular season. Therefore, it's my understanding that for Tony Petitti to put down this suspension for 3 games, he would need to have approval from the Big Ten Executive Committee, which is filled by Big Ten presidents. It looks like they gave him that approval. Because remember, in the Big Ten bylaws, Tony Petitti had the room to do a 2-game suspension without anybody approving that penalty. But he went 3 games. That's what ESPN is reporting. Let me put it up once again. Sources, the Big Ten is expected to discipline Michigan's for the in-person scouting and ongoing sign stealing investigation. So this is not over yet. This investigation is not over by the Big Ten and the NCAA. Now, this is what ESPN is reporting. Jim Harbaugh will be prohibited from being on the sideline until the conclusion of the regular season. He will be allowed to coach during the week, much like his previous suspension at the beginning of the year. Look at Nick Auerbach. Source, the Michigan team is still currently flying and has not received any communication from the Big Ten Conference. So it looks like sources are telling ESPN that a decision has been made. And also there was a tweet out there where it was Andy Staples is also saying, of course, the Michigan plane is still in the air. I just saw a Michigan beat writer saying now it's war. You're seeing it all over the place. They're all using the same thing. Same verbiage. Now it's war. Now it's war. So, what does the Big Ten do now? They keep investigating, right? What does Michigan do now? They will probably try to get an injunction, get a local judge, and maybe they can get Harbaugh on the sidelines for tomorrow's game against Penn State. And maybe they can get, and I read it gets complicated. I'm not a lawyer, definitely not a judge, not a juror, but something in those where they need, if Michigan files an injunction and gets it, then within the next 14 days, they have to meet in some court of law with Big Ten to see if they can hash whatever out. We'll see what happens there. But the Big Ten, it looks like from reports, let me show you another here. Adam Rittenberg. Legal battle is the next step. Barred in injunction or TRO, Harbaugh will be sidelined for Penn State, Maryland, Ohio State. Now, this is as far as we know. Is Harbaugh the only one involved? It looks like it. So far, it doesn't look like there's any coordinators involved. Or remember, according to reports, none of the Michigan coaching staff has been interviewed by the NCAA. There's been no interview process. None whatsoever. So, unless the Big Ten has an email or something in that Michigan computer that the investigative firm, whatever investigative firm that was, gave the information to the NCAA, and the NCAA gave the Big Ten a heads up before Michigan played Michigan State, unless there's some direct evidence tying one of the coordinators communicating with Connor Stallions about this, there's no way for Tony Petitti to enlarge the suspension, to include other coaches. The reason why Tony Petitti is able to suspend Jim Harbaugh, according to Big Ten bylaws, because Well, first of all, the NCAA rule says that the head coach, even if he doesn't know what's going on, it's up to him to know that this prohibited illegal action is going on. So therefore, it falls within the Big Ten sportsmanship policy. I'm just telling you what I think the Big Ten is going after here. Now, there has been, I got to tell you, first of all, let me thank everybody for coming on in early today. Early into the show. Bruce Harris, Boomer, Richard L., Randy Taylor, Matt Neeson, Sean, James Foster, Jeff Olson, the Evil Badgers in the house, Heartbreak 25, Matt, Don in Kansas, Eric Miller, Kenneth Evans, Sizu, CISZEW. I'm a rational Michigan fan. I always been, I always will be. Now it's war. Now it's war. Red Legs, Michigan got off light, in my opinion. James Gregory says, lacks of institutional control, cheated to win. Look, Michigan, the beat writers, the bloggers, the people who own their websites, they've been going at this for like 96 hours of just throwing everything up there, saying that Tony Petitti does not have the power to do this. Tony Petitti is, now they're saying Tony Petitti's over his head. Everyone else is cheating. Let's see the evidence of that. That's how I always answer that. Let's see the evidence of other people cheating. If they're doing in-person scouting, which it's explicitly stated in the rules, let's open it up. Let's open up the investigation. But there's been even this morning, a lot of Michigan writers saying it ain't going to happen. The tide has turned. Tony Petitti has taken a step back. He knows he's in the wrong. Look, and I reported this now over a week ago. Michigan, gigantic school, incredible university, incredible athletic department, incredible football program, incredible valuable brand. Yes, they've been putting on the pressure. But what do you think the other 13 institutions have been doing? What do you think they've been doing? They are hot. They are absolutely hot. They talked to Tony Petitti. Tony Petitti talked to athletic directors, the coaches, the presidents. And if this report is accurate, it means that Tony Petitti had to get approval from the executive committee, from the Big Ten presidents that sits on the board, because he can't do more than a 2-game suspension. So he's got the political cover. Michigan's hot. Well, so are the other 13 universities. Keep that in mind, because I think that has been buried in people's reporting as of late. We're getting more reporting. Source, Matt Fortuna. The Big Ten is expected to suspend Michigan coach Jim Harbaugh from coaching the Wolverines 3 remaining regular season games as part of the league's punishment for allegedly illegally stealing signs. As part of the league's punishment. So there's probably going to be more. It's probably going to be at least a fine. Here is the Big Ten announcement. Violation sportsmanship policy by the University of Michigan football program. The Big Ten Conference announced today that the University of Michigan has been found in violation of the Big Ten sportsmanship policy for conducting an impermissible in-person scouting operation over multiple years, resulting in an unfair competitive advantage that compromised the integrity of competition. And I reported a week ago, that was the phrase that was being used, integrity of competition inside the Big Ten. The Big Ten Conference Agreement 10.01 states in part that the Big Ten Conference expects all contests involving a member institution to be conducted without compromise to any fundamental element of sportsmanship. Such fundamental elements include integrity of the competition, civility toward all, and respect particularly toward opponents and officials. As a penalty imposed on the institution, the university football team must compete without its head football coach for the games remaining in the 2023 regular season, effective immediately. This disciplinary action shall not preclude the university or its football team from having its head coach, football coach attend practices or other football team activities other than the game activities to which it applies. For clarity, the head football coach shall not be present at the game venue on the dates of the games to which this disciplinary action applies. The Big Ten Conference has no additional comment at this time. So there it is. There it is. Impermissible in-person scouting operation over multiple years, resulting in an unfair competitive advantage that compromise the integrity of competition. So far, as we know, it only has Jim Harbaugh being suspended for the rest of the regular season games. 3 of them. Is there any other more discipline, any other more punishment, penalties being levied at this time for the Big Ten? We do not know. We do not know. And of course, the NCAA has investigation that's going to last a while. Wow. So it happened. As we believed here at Peek Around the Corner that it would happen. I get it. People are heated on both sides. One thing I have to remind myself, and no matter what side you're on this, we don't know the entire evidence that's laid before the Big Ten commissioner. We know reports. We know the reports out there. We've seen, it looks like Connie Stalions himself is standing on the sidelines of the Central Michigan Chippewas. It looks like it's been reported that there is in-stadium surveillance of people who bought the tickets sitting in those seats. We know what the rules are. There's been a lot of people throwing up a lot of stuff that has nothing to do with the actual NCAA rules. Like the term advanced scouting. That's nowhere in the rule book. In-person scouting is prohibited. Filming your opponents, future opponents, is prohibited. Period. End of story. And if there's a lot of evidence saying that Michigan did it, well, why can't Tony Petitti act right now? Why can't he? You want to talk about due process. Michigan needs its due process. What about Connie Stalions? He was suspended with pay. Same thing what's going to happen to Jim Harbaugh. Connie Stalions was suspended with pay like that. Where was his due process? Michigan did it because Michigan thought there was preponderance of evidence that something went haywire with Mr. Connie Stalions. So they suspended him. Tony Petitti's had information being given to him by the NCAA for over 3 weeks. Tony Petitti has talked to the presidents multiple times, to the athletic directors multiple times, and to the coaches at least once, and he's talked to Michigan. If he has this evidence in front of him, why can't he act? What is lacking in the due process? This is not a civil case. This is not a criminal case. This is a commissioner acting for integrity of competition, sportsmanship-like policy within the Big Ten bylaws. This is not the first time the Big Ten has penalized the Big Ten team in the season. 1958, Ohio State Buckeyes got a bowl ban in the season. The Big Ten commissioner ruled on something that the NCAA at that point, the governing body, didn't rule at all on whatever Ohio State did. It's happened before. It's going to happen again, and it's going to happen a whole lot more in the future when the conferences become more and more powerful as we go on. This is just, could there be more punishment on Jim Harbaugh? Very well. Could there be more punishment on Michigan? Probably. And most of it probably done by the NCAA, but some of it by the Big Ten. But I got to tell you, I'm very like focused on this. The evidence is the story. It really is. Is there evidence of this in-person scouting? It looks like there's a whole lot of it, man. It looks like there's a ton of it. That's the story. Not all this stuff that, who was the investigation from? Was it Ryan Day's brother? This is a smear job, conspiracy. They'll never slap down Michigan because they're too valuable of a football program. All these things that have been thrown out there, Michigan and Ohio State and Rutgers, they talked with each other before Michigan played Purdue in the Big Ten championship game. Well, Schiano and Ryan Day said that it didn't happen. They absolutely denied it did not happen. Michigan has not denied these allegations. Even in their 10-page letter, there was no denying the allegations, only that the commissioner wasn't following due process or he didn't have the power to act. I don't know. It looks pretty easy to me that he does have the power to act. If you disagree with me, put it in the chat or give me a phone call later in the show. Stephen McNeely, thank you so much for your super chat. Greg, I missed it. Can you repeat what the hammer was? At this point, Stephen McNeely, all reports are showing Jim Harbaugh has been suspended for the next 3 games, for the rest of the regular season, not for the Big Ten championship. For the rest of the regular season, the next 3 games against Penn State, Maryland, Ohio State. That's the hammer so far. Thank you so much for your super chat, Steve McNeely. Thank you so very much. And then Steve McNeely says, the punishment's just a teaser. The real hammer's coming from the NCAA. Let me just check for other reports. I know things are coming in fast and furious. People are saying it was a light penalty because Jim Harbaugh is going to be able to coach during this week. Again, this is the Big Ten acting during the season, acting on evidence that they're sure of, the preponderance of evidence, in-person scouting, which is prohibited. Potentially there's more on the way, right? I don't know. there's been so much written saying that Tony Petitti is not, now he's not going to act because the tide has turned. And there's been so much fabrication. And I've tried to I've ignored most of it. The story, look, here's Mike Farrell. The Big Ten has become a circus. Why? Because the Big Ten acted on what a lot of these reporters are taking this so personally. Instead of, does Mike Farrell know all the evidence in front of Tony Petitti? I could go on and on here. I could go right through the list of them. It's such an odd. More from the Big Ten letter to Michigan. This is not a sanction of a Coach Harbaugh. It is a sanction against the university that under the extraordinary circumstances presented by this offensive conduct best fits the violation. Because it preserves the ability of the football, if the football student athletes can continue to compete, it recognizes the head coach embodies the university for purposes of its football program. I don't. Okay, so this is more of the Big Ten letter. First of all, let me just check out. Let me check out the super chats here. Fake Tom Osborne, thank you so much for your super chat. I hope this is the first round of punishment. Michigan fans can be in denial as much as they want, but they'll be known as cheaters forever. Well deserved. I don't think they'll be known as cheaters forever. I think Michigan's going to become Michigan again. They were before Jim Harbaugh. They will be after Jim Harbaugh. But yeah, I agree in the sense that Michigan has done themselves no favor in how they've responded to the allegations, in my opinion. Thank you so much for the super chat, Fake Tom Osborne. I appreciate it. Let me get to a very interesting. Let me see if I can read this here. An interesting excerpt from the Big Ten's notification letter to Michigan. The sportsmanship policy puts responsibility on the university. The league says this is not a sanction of Coach Harbaugh, but is a sanction of the university of which Harbaugh embodies. Notably, the university November 8th response does not deny the impermissible scheme occurred. And that's what we talked about. Michigan has not denied that this happened. Instead, it offers only procedural and technical arguments designed to delay accountability. That's perfect. Absolutely perfect. And when Michigan blew up this procedural and technical arguments, so many college football reporters, their knees buckled at this. Why, I do not know. I do not understand. The story, again, is the evidence in regards to something that is prohibited, explicitly stated in the NCAA rules, in-person scouting. Back to this Big Ten response. The university also argues that because it believes the others are engaged in decoding signs, there must be nothing wrong with the university's activities. In addition to impermissible activities of others being currently unsupported by facts, the university's culpability is not dependent on the action of other institutions. Those assertions are more fully addressed in sections 3 and 5 below. Absolutely correct. The Big Ten, at this point, don't have the facts of other schools cheating in this way. And let's say they did. It still doesn't account for what Michigan's football program did. Back to Big Ten's response. The integrity of competition is the backbone of any sports conference or league. That is especially true for sports contests between student athletes. Athletes compete to win. Competition that is only about winning while disregarding the rules of fair play diminishes all of us, including our institutions. The integrity, again, that word integrity. And I reported this to you 7, 8, 9 days ago. It was the integrity of competition and student athletes getting their increased chances of getting hurt. But integrity of competition was what the Big Ten internally was talking about over and over and over again. The integrity of the competition must be preeminent. Its value is fundamental and far exceeds the value of winning. Indeed, it is the very source of any value in winning. Enforcing the sportsman policy with appropriate discipline this season, in light of the university's established violations this season, the violations are established. Michigan didn't even contest it. Let me repeat. Michigan did not even contest it. So how could Tony Petitti be going over? How could he be overreacting? How could he be jumping too quick? Enforcing the sportsman policy with appropriate discipline this season, in light of the university's established violations this season, is thus of the utmost importance to protect the reputation of the conference and its member institutions, and to ensure that our competitions on the field are honorable and fair. As described below, the existence of the impermissible scheme is proven. While other investigatory bodies continue to develop additional evidence of the scope, intent, and individual knowledge of the scheme, let me repeat that. While other investigatory bodies like the NCAA continues to develop additional evidence of the scope, extent, and individual knowledge of the scheme, in other words, people more than college stallions knowing about this scheme, that may advise additional or enhanced penalties in the future, taking immediate action is appropriate and necessary under the conference sportsmanship policy. Did you hear that, Bud Elliott? Did you hear that, Bud Elliott? Having determined, if you actually, I'm not going to go down that rant right now. Having determined that the universities violated the sportsmanship policy, the conference imposes on the university the following disciplinary action. Effective immediately, the university football team must compete without its head coach. We read all of that. We impose this disciplinary action even though the conference has not yet received any information indicating the head football coach Harbaugh was aware of the impermissible nature of the sign-stealing scheme. This is not a sanction of Coach Harbaugh. It is a sanction against the university that under the extraordinary circumstances presented by this offensive conduct best fits the violation. Okay, and we talked about that before. And then Nick Arbach, Tony Petitti, in a letter to Michigan, says that the school initially refused to consent to the Big Ten obtaining the spreadsheet and other documents from the NCAA related to its investigation. Also makes a point to say he's not playing favorite. The conference takes exception The conference takes exception to the university's suggestion in its response that any determination in this matter is based on prejudgment and bias. The conference does not play favorites among its members, nor does it take actions towards members based on prejudgment or bias. Failing to act under the extraordinary circumstances here could lead other conference members reasonably to conclude that the conference has chosen to favor the university over all the other members. Wow. Again, I cannot see where Tony Petitti failed in his job. I don't see it. I'm willing to learn. I'm willing for you guys to tell me I'm wrong. I do not see where Tony Petitti failed in his job. He had to act. He has a conference. He's a commissioner of a conference of 14 institutions, ready to become 18 institutions, ready to possibly expand again in 3 years from now, with great institutions as possible of North Carolina, Clemson, Notre Dame, Virginia. Who knows? If the preponderance of evidence was there, he had to act. Bill G., it's hard to say the NCAA sanctions will come here because the case is without precedent. It's hard. Yeah, in fact, I said it was hard to even know what the Big Ten was going to do. I felt confident that the Big Ten was going to do something in this season. That I thought, because the heat of the other 13 institutions, and it looked like there was a preponderance, a massive amount of evidence laid before the NCAA and now laid before the Big Ten commissioner. But I had a hard time figuring out what, I thought it was going to be 2 weeks suspension. 3 weeks, that means Tony Petitti had the authority to do 3 weeks because he got the nod from the other Big Ten presidents. Yeah. Again, awesome clips. It would be nice if he were the lone wolf, kind of stallions, but you won't be convincing anyone that a low-level staffer is on the sidelines calling plays and the coaches don't know what's going on. It's absurd. I agree. He's the only one that knew what that was going on. 65. He had 65 people, at least 65 people included in the scheme, multiple years. Yeah. But they have to have evidence. They have to have direct evidence that other people knew. Witnesses have to come out and say, yeah, this person knew or this person knew. We don't know what the NCAA has. We don't know what it has. The fake Osborne. Michigan better call Saul. They need a criminal lawyer. I don't think they need a criminal lawyer. They probably don't even need a civil lawyer, but they do have lawyers, and they have good ones on their side. Better call Saul. That's a great program. Thank you for the super chat, fake Tom Osborne. I appreciate it very much. Steve Vetti says the ball's in NCAA's court now. They need to act just like Petitti acted. The NCAA is going to take time on this. They are. It sounds like they're on an accelerated timeline. So maybe this only takes a year. Maybe we see something before the start of next season. Again, I appreciate Tony Petitti's. I appreciate the Big Ten saying this is a sanction against the university. Billy Tuesday, Harbaugh doesn't call plays, so where's the punishment. A lot of people think this is way too light. I don't think this is going to be the only punishment. Rick Eisen went off today, heated. Again, there's a lot of circling the wagons around Jim Harbaugh, and I don't quite understand it. I don't understand it, but that is where that's where a lot of people are. Okay, so we've got more. We've got more. Keep your head on a swivel, everybody. Keep your head on a swivel. We've got more. Again, I'm going to show you something right here. This is very, very important. We got more breaking news. Again, if you're new to the show, please subscribe to the show. Hit the notification bell. We can come up on live anytime. Smash the like button if you like our content. It helps us with the algorithm of YouTube so very, very much. Share the video with your family and friends. Word of mouth helps us as well. And please, if you want to support the show, hit the $ with the comment, and we'll get to your comment as soon as we can. Let me show you this, ladies and gentlemen. Let me show you this. Ross Dellinger. Ross Dellinger. This is very important. For those who say that Tony Petitti did not have the right to act, acted too fast, acted too harshly, Ross Dellinger, a week ago during a call, the NCAA and President Charlie Baker informed the Big Ten that the organization's investigation could prove that videos taken through in-person scouting from seats purchased by Connor Stallions was delivered back to Michigan staff. On November 2nd, a senior conference staff member and I participated in a call with NCAA President Baker and other senior NCAA staff members and the university's athletic director, general counsel, and outside counsel. During that call, the NCAA informed the conference and the university that, based on its investigation and the evidence that it collected, the NCAA knew and could prove the following. The staff member participated and coordinated a vast off-campus, in-person advanced scouting scheme involved a network of individuals. He purchased and forwarded tickets for games involving future university football opponents, and the tickets were for seats strategically located for stealing the future opponent's signs. He and others acting at his direction video recorded signs used by future university opponents while attending the opponent's games in person. But the PATC money shot is delivered back to Michigan staff. So again, this story is not close to being over. But what the Big Ten's going to do in season, the penalty, that part of the story is probably finished. Probably finished. Again, I'm keeping my head on a swivel. Wow, we're going to continue on. Oh, man. Okay, sorry, guys. I'll get to your comments. Let me see if there's any super chats. Wow. Woo! Okay, here we go. This is more from the Big Ten. The universities claim that it had reviewed almost no evidence. The conference is highly concerned about the university's statements in its November 8th response that has not yet an opportunity to review almost any of the evidence. That was 2 days ago. And that from what we can tell, you notice largely relies on rumor. We know from the evidence provided to the conference by the NCAA on November 9th that the university had been provided the master spreadsheet, numerous other corroborating documents, photographs, videos, significant interview and recordings, all which confirm the existence of an impermissible scheme. This includes as early as October 31st and November 1st, at least 3 university officials attending the NCAA interviews during which details of the impermissible scheme were revealed. That knowledge preceded the above referenced November 2 call with the NCAA, in which the university participated, during which the NCAA stated it knew and could prove the existence of the impermissible scheme. We assure the university's first comment did not mean that it and its counsel had not taken the time to review documents and other information upon receiving them. The university appears to suggest the imposition of discipline is inappropriate because the university claimed it had seen almost no evidence. But given the extensive evidence the university was in fact provided by the NCAA, it cannot possibly be true that the university has not seen almost any of the evidence. It is very clear, and again, we talked about it. The story was always going to be the evidence. Always going to be the evidence. And they have gobs of it. They have a whole mountain of it. And they're going to get more of it. And this is why, all these comments from the lawyers, and I'm sorry, but the beat writers, Michigans, I don't want to say names, but what planet are you on? What planet are you on? I get it. You love Michigan. But there's been so many things that have been just outrageous. I don't know why people do that. You had no idea the communications between Michigan and the NCAA. No idea the communication between Michigan and the Big Ten, and all 3 of them put together. You had no idea. In fact, a lot of you couldn't even read the rule book. You had to throw up so much stuff that had nothing to do with what the rules state. Not to mention what the Big Ten bylaws state. It was happening over and over and over and over again. And here's just another. Michigan accuses the Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti of altering the level playing field, and doing so on Veterans Day, a court holiday, to try to thwart the university from seeking immediate judicial relief and hardly a profile impartiality. So it's the Big Ten's response. It's the Big Ten's responsibility on what calendar, what day of the week this all happened to go on. Again, it's nothing. Every Michigan response has nothing to do with evidence, lack of evidence, or the rules. They're not even arguing the rules about it. It's all about procedural. And doing so on Veterans Day. I don't know. You let me know. You let me know how wrong I got it here. Peek around the corner. Okay, I'm going to open up the phone lines. We're going to keeping our head on the swivel. Phone lines is now open. 763-260-1333. Let me know how wrong I got it, or just tell me your opinion on the matter. Big Ten, The hammer brought down in Michigan. It was Michigan that was sanctioned. And Jim Harbaugh, being the representative of the football program, he's not going to be on the sidelines for the next 3 weeks. And again, and I'm going to read Michigan's statement. The phone lines are open. A statement from the University of Michigan. Like all members of the Big Ten Conference, we are entitled to a fair, deliberate, and thoughtful process to determine the full set of facts before judgment is rendered. Today's action by Commissioner Tony Petitti disregards the conference's own handbook, violates basic tenets of due process. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? And sets an untenable precedent of assessing penalties.
Call from
Immaculate.
Immaculate, the floor is yours. What do you got to say, sir? What's your opinion on this?
Well, we're going to do the over-under on how long I go before the next thing about Michigan comes out.
Yeah. I don't think I'm going to finish reading that letter. It's all about procedural. I don't know, but go ahead.
Yeah, first thing I said in chat was this is the same punishment that Michigan used on him in the beginning of the season, all the way down to even being able to be at practice. So basically what this does is it leaves no room for Michigan to come back at them with any type of legal measure, because you're basically saying our own penalty against ourselves was unfair. It's laughable. So they probably maybe wanted to do more, but this would have just got a whole lot uglier. And I was kind of just like, oh, this is sad. But what you showed from the NCAA stuff, what they have, they might actually be ready to go at the end of the season. I don't know. I mean, I've been saying, they haven't even done interviews for the ASU case, but this one is bigger. So this one probably doesn't get put on the back burner.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, he's probably going to be starting to make some calls to NFL teams. Because if he can get an NFL job before the NCAA comes on him, then there's nothing anyone can really go after the NFL for.
Yeah.
So, like I've heard, there's the Vegas job. There's the Bears job. I could definitely see him going to the Bears. And he'll probably just escape out of this, and I don't know, maybe the coordinators will take the hit. I don't know. It is what it is, though. I kind of get it. I get why the Big Ten decided not to have a big internal, huge fight, and as you pointed out, which is pretty smart, the 3-game suspension means the conference is supporting the commissioner in this.
Yeah.
And for him to say that this is directed at the school and not Harbaugh, that's the rest of the schools also agreeing to that. So I think internally, politically, this is probably a bigger deal than people think. Would you agree?
Yeah.
It's not going to feed the mob. It's not going to, people are calling for blood, and it's not going to do that. So there's going to be a lot of angry people. But if this causes them to lose either the Penn State or the Ohio State game,
yeah.
I'll say this. No, it will never get reported, but I'll say this. CFP, I bet you they're already drop Michigan. Even if they lose to Ohio State, they're dropping them right out of contention for the tournament. So I mean, it's kind of hard at this point in time because NCAA hasn't done anything. But if they get any kind of excuse, either one of these games, if Michigan loses it, it's done for them anyway. So we'll see if this works. It's kind of a bet, kind of a gamble, but it ensures that Michigan can't file back on them, in my opinion. I don't know. Do you think that's the case?
Yeah. I now, no matter what Tony Petit would have done, right? Mm-hmm. He would have had people upset with him, right? No matter which action he would have taken or no action. I think a lot of reporters are not getting this right. They're not even bringing it up. They're always bringing up Michigan on this. There are 13 other institutions in this conference, and they are hot. And I don't know if the reporters just... I'm seeing more reporters talking about, oh, Michigan's going to do this, Michigan's going to do that. If Tony Petit would not have acted, we'd be looking at 13 schools saying, what the bleep, and Tony Petit would be out on the streets.
Yeah, I don't know I don't know why all of a sudden so many people in the media seem to switch.
Yeah.
Now, people like Rich Eisen, who is, has a Michigan degree hanging on his wall. I get it. It's fine. It's, it's no different than all the other Michigan fans that are coming forward. He just has a bigger platform. It is what it is. But some of the other people who are into this, I don't quite understand. Now, I am due process and let that play out, but that's not what this is. This isn't a court of law.
Yeah.
This is the schools of the conference, them deciding, looking at their peer, and deciding this. Like this, there's no due process involved. I don't understand why people are trying to play out like this is in a court. It's not. It's 100% not. And public perception does play into this. Like it or not, fair or not, it does. And so it's been an interesting thing to watch, even though it's largely, from my opinion and perspective, it's been rather distasteful. And I can't wait for this to be over.
I cannot wait for it. I cannot. I'm glad it happened today because until there's more stuff turning up, I won't be talking about it much. Sure, I'll be saying, Jim Harbaugh is not going to be on the sideline of the Penn State, Maryland, Ohio State, but I'm not going to be talking about it much. I do have to, I do have to say, I'm very disappointed with a lot of college football. It's almost like evidence, like there is no such thing as evidence anymore. That's how they're treating this. Like it's Michigan. So therefore, if you're sitting there with all this evidence, you have to act. Yeah. You've got 13 other institutions. I'm sorry.
Suspension states, yep. I even posted about that, and you're right. And I think that's the part that most people are going to miss and is not going to be told to them is the fact that it's 3 suspensions means the Big Ten Executive Committee supports this. Yeah. And they supported the statement that it's against Michigan as an institution. So, I don't know. There's never going to be a full consensus on this, with everybody. So I just don't try.
Here we go.
Okay, we're good.
Immaculate. You knew I was going to interrupt you.
Yeah,
and that I'm doing.
Okay, I'm just going to keep holding on. We're going to have some news come out. All right, let's do it.
Okay, this is what I reported a week ago to people at Peek Around the Corner. This is what people are hot. These are the 13 institutions that are hot. So we can talk. You know what? And I could list all the college football reporters talking about Michigan. This is it right here. Ross Dellinger. Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petit tells Michigan in his response that he finds it credible that advanced scouting increases the risk of injury because if you know what play your opponent is running, then you also know where your opponent's players will be on the field. This is what the coaches were most pissed about. Not because they were getting trounced, but because they saw their players having an increased chance of getting injured because of this in-person scouting. And I'm going to tell you, we talk about suits being filed and injunction and Tony Petitti. I'm telling you what, man, some of these student athletes who got injured in these games against Michigan, and if they can see that the play and if they can link it to this, Michigan's the one that's going to be sued. Go ahead, Immaculate. I just had
I'm laughing. I'm watching chat. It's funny. The interrupt has become a thing.
Yeah.
As far as this goes, yeah, that's a real thing, and that is something that's going to fall under the NCAA. That's someone else mentioned games being thrown out like results. Well, that's an NCAA thing. They sanction games. In terms of CFP and how they're not the NCAA, well, they kind of are. If you think about what actually makes up the NCAA, the institutions that make up the NCAA is the NCAA, and all of the people who run the CFP are leaders of those institutions. So you're basically going against yourself. I don't think they're going to raise the ire of the NCAA committees by going against whatever NCAA rules are. I don't think CFP is going to go on a limb like that.
Yeah.
But in terms of CFP news, just throwing a little bit of good news out there, fun news. Since it's celebrated Veterans Day, technically it's tomorrow, but today is when it's being celebrated. You saw the news about the CFP and their new executive director?
Yes. Let me put that up on the screen for everybody. Whoops, that's not the right one. Brett McMurphy, Air Force Lieutenant General Richard Clark has been selected to replace Bill Hancock as the new executive director of the college football playoff.
Yep. The CFP is now under martial law.
Now,
to come in, bring some order to this chaos, and
does it? Now the director is coming from what we would call a G5 institution, right? Does that help the G5 schools get more security years down the road?
No, because we're talking about an executive director. It's basically the executive branch, meaning he's not really making decisions. He's whatever decisions are made, he's the one making it all happen and leading the troops. And but does that mean he's going to be there? He's going to be at every meeting. Yeah. Just because he may not vote, everyone's going to be looking. He's going to show up day one in that with the 3-star general's outfit on, because once you're a general, you're always a general. You still go wear that. He's going to show up wearing that, and so he may not have to vote, but he's going to have a say.
Yeah, he's going to have influence. Anything else, Immaculate?
That's really all I wanted to talk about, because I thought that was a pretty cool thing today. So
all right,
see how
man.
That goes, and hopefully Michigan gets figured out. You have yourself a good one.
Appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Okay, Terry Fox, thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it. Keep up the good work. You are truly an asset. Thank you, Terry Fox. That means a lot because I'm getting hit hard. I'm getting hit hard once again. I mean, just like the, what do we got going on with our phone here?
Call from
Kansas State fan.
Kansas State fan. Can you just hold on 1 second?
Yes, of course.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Terry Fox, thanks for the super chat. It means a lot. I'm getting really hit hard. Just like the Colorado story and all the other stories we cover here. I'm a stickler for what is the story. The story here was the evidence or lack of it. Then if there's a lot of evidence, then what can the Big Ten Commissioner do in the season to me in the Big Ten bylaws, it looked like he could take action. So that was the story. A whole bunch of white heat, a whole bunch of shiny objects were thrown up in the air. We stuck to the story once again. So it happened. Today it happened. All righty, sir. The floor is yours. What do you got to say, good man?
Well, on behalf of the entire Kansas State fan base and the entire Big 12, we will welcome Michigan with open arms. That's all I'll say. I'm just messing around. There is several really mad Michigan fans to the point where they want to get out of the conference.
Sure,
That's
sure.
never going to happen.
Sure, and let me just state something.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take that serious right now because Michigan, maybe more than any other school in the conference, is a Big Ten university.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Something went haywire at the University of Michigan. There's a person, at least one person, who went crazy with this in-person scouting. And unfortunately, the head coach has to take the punishment. The university sanctioned. There's going to be more evidence. The preponderance of evidence is going to be so heavy that eventually most people are going to see this as the story that it is. Out of control, in-person scouting, filming opponents, and that's going to be the bottom line. There's a lot of fighting going on right now. I don't think Michigan's going to have any intentions of leaving the Big Ten. But if it pops up, we'll follow that story as well. Go ahead, sir.
Oh no! I was just throwing that around as a joke, just for good pleasure as well. But you do bring up a good point as well. I'll just mention it real quick. I think out of all the Big Ten schools, Michigan and Wisconsin, like they're the standard for the ultimate Big Ten school when it just comes to the academics, the amount of research that they put in, the athletic programs. I think those are the two schools that really resemble the core and the foundation of the Big Ten, and really the other 8 schools. But I don't think the other 8 founding members of the Big Ten, but not as much as Wisconsin and Michigan. I'm going to make this call a little bit quick. I do have a question. What do you think the punishment would be a far more extreme for any other team not named Michigan or on the list of Michigan? Like
I don't think so.
If we saw if Purdue was doing the sign stealing or Nebraska was. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I don't think the name of the school has anything to do with what Tony Petitti just did.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. That's good. All right. I'll let you get back on the calls. I just saw the news pop up, so I thought I'd give a call.
You got it. Appreciate it. Beautiful. Thank you, sir. The bottom here, we had a couple questions on it right here. This is from the Big Ten. The conference recognizes that additional disciplinary actions may be necessary or appropriate if it receives additional information concerning the scope, knowledge of, participation in. So just
call from
PSU Nitwit.
PSU Nitwit, the floor is yours. What do you got to say?
Hey, just sitting here getting excited, a little nervous about this game tomorrow.
Yes, yeah.
I hope our young quarterback kind of steps up at home and maybe gives them the show. How about it?
Yes, how about it?
I just want to call in, and I just want to. I know Tony Petitti's been like the guy with the emperor with no clothes here, according to Michigan, but apparently he does have some authority, and we got some clarity. How about it, Greg? And that's one thing out of this I think everyone can appreciate.
Yes,
I think
we got clarity.
We got clarity.
Yep.
Coach Bielema yesterday in his press conference called it out, said this was unprecedented. He never seen anything like this. I would assume that's probably the opinion of most of everybody in the Big Ten. So,
Tony Petitti stepped up and said, under some pressure, obviously, but he made the right decision here. This is it's a serious violation. You broke the rules, and in the Big Ten, you're going to get punished when you break the rules, and that doesn't matter if you're Michigan or Purdue or Indiana. That's healthy for the conference, isn't it, Greg?
Yes, it is. Again, you have got 13 institutions solidly on one side of this saying that, I know Michigan is a big, powerful brand, great university, but you've got 13 universities all lined up. Not to mention, remember, and it said it in the Big Ten statements. And I know I didn't read everything. But again, remember, there's evidence that Michigan did in-person scouting against potential college football playoff opponents. They did it to Georgia. They did it to Alabama. They did it to Oregon. So it's outside the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm sorry, I got a rant. Of course Tony Petitti had to act. Of course he did. What are we doing here? If he wouldn't have, we talked about it, the gates of the holy hell would have opened up. It would have been, you think it's chaos now. It would be chaos 13 times if he wouldn't have acted. With all that evidence, come on, football reporters. I'm about 3 seconds away from just listing all of them. This is just, I want to say more, but I'm holding back here. I'm trying to be professional. How couldn't Tony Petitti act? That's my question. Are you serious right now? Michigan has all the evidence. Big Ten has. Michigan has all the evidence. And there's more coming in. Tony Petitti's not going to act? Sorry, PS New Nitwit. Go ahead.
It's crazy, Greg. You're right. And I know I was called out. You're called out. People blocking you. I got blocked by certain unknown people that we both follow on X. This is crazy. You know what I mean?
Is.
And that's the whole thing. Like I said, I go back to the way he handled it. He issued his punishment, and I'm sure there's more going to come out. And like you said, it's whatever it is, but something went haywire at Michigan.
Yeah.
And they got caught, and they got a punishment from somebody that had to give them a punishment. And it sets a precedent, Greg, right?
Yes.
What does the punishment do? It's a deterrent, right?
Yes. You gotta have yes.
That's what the media folks don't get. This will not be tolerated anymore unless you want to get a 3-game suspension. So that sends a message to everybody else in the conference. You will not be doing this, right? You're not going to break the rules. You're not going to get away with it. And I actually think the person that looks like a clown out of all this is President Ono at Michigan.
Yeah.
I think if he would have come out and had a press conference and said, yeah, we're looking into these allegations, we're cooperating with the Big Ten, Tony Petitti, I don't think it would have been 3 games.
Yeah, they definitely pissed off the Big Ten.
I don't think it would have been 3 games.
Yeah.
So if they're painting Tony Petitti as a clown, they're the clowns.
Yeah.
If they would have stepped up and owned this 2 weeks ago, this would have been over with. Now you have your coach not on the sidelines at one of the biggest games of the year. So who's clowning themselves?
Yeah.
It's Michigan. So, like I said, Greg, I'm looking forward to the game tomorrow. I hope you get a chance to watch it. I know you've got a busy day tomorrow.
Yeah.
But looking forward. If you choose a live show tomorrow night, I'll definitely
appreciate it, sir.
In.
I will.
Take care.
No problem. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Great call. Ted Evans, you are not in the minority, Greg. Some of these media heads seem to take stuff like this too personal, aren't ignoring the facts. Keep up the good work. There are facts in this case. I mean, you know, and we keep forgetting about this other piece. There's this other piece of the story. Let me get to another super chat. Thank you so much, Ted Evans, for helping us keep the lights on here. It's only through your donations that we stay on. Fake Tom Osborne, thanks once again for your super chat. Michigan fans act like them leaving the conference is going to hurt other fans' feelings. Bye, Felicia. Fans don't care. I would care. I keep disagreeing with Tom Osborne. Thank you so much for your generosity. I do appreciate your comments. I would care. I would care. Michigan is a monster, great university. I would care. But if this is again, Michigan's going to be Michigan again. I think we're witnessing a cult of personality around Jim Harbaugh. It's kind of scary to watch, but we've seen it before. We've seen it with other coaches out there. And I think that's what's going on. Thank you so much, Fake Tom Osborne. I appreciate it. Appreciate it, Ted Evans, and everybody's donations thus far. I do want to talk about something that we haven't talked about in this live show yet about this situation. Don Juan, this is absolutely disgusting of the Big Ten, delaying the penalty until late in the day of the legal holiday. Michigan moves to get an injunction. The Big Ten had to take time to respond to Michigan's letter. So, there it is. Again, I would feel, look, Don Juan and everybody, I would have some empathy towards that angle. I would have empathy towards that. If Michigan if they even once denied any of these allegations. So a punishment's going to happen. And this is as soon as it could have happened. 3 weeks of investigation. Everyone's talking about he needs to do due process, right? So he's working. And so now they took too much time. That's the argument. They took too much time. You know, it's. Thank you so much for the comment, though, Don Juan. I want everybody's perspectives on this. There's one other thing to this. There's one other aspect to this. Just let me check something real quick. Just. There's one other aspect to this. That isn't... For all practical purposes, 99 percentile chance. 99 percentile chance. Connor Stallions was on the sidelines of Central Michigan. What was he doing there? Was he filming with his sunglasses? Where did that film go to? Did it get downloaded into that Michigan computer? How did it get onto that sideline? How did he get onto that sideline? Wearing Central Michigan clothing, the hat, the shirt, the pants. He had Nike shoes. Everyone else had Adidas shoes. But other than that, he looked like a coach. How did he get that bench pass? NCAA is investigating. I bet, you know what? I got a feeling that the Big Ten doesn't have all of what that story is. Michigan, are they doing an internal investigation? I don't know, but they don't know what the NCAA has already in that case. That is a huge deal. Or that could be a huge deal. That's not even part of this. The last part I read where it said the Big Ten's response to Michigan today, it said they could render more disciplinary actions if and when appropriate, when they are given more evidence, more information. That is one storyline. The Central Michigan sidelines. So keep an eye on that one. Fake Tom Osborne off topic, but happy birthday to all my fellow Marines and happy Vets Day tomorrow to everyone who served. Thank you for your service. Fake Tom Osborne, thank you for your service to everybody. I appreciate it. The first Veterans Day without my father being here, it's going to be a lot of tough days. That's just one example. Thanksgiving, Veterans Day. My father was a vet. Appreciate it, Fake Tom Osborne. Thanks for bringing that up. I appreciate it so very much. Thank you. Michigan got a raw deal on the cheeseburger. Now you're handing us a no-meat Whopper. Mark Spagnolia. Thank you for the comment, Mark. I love creativity. In the chat room. Appreciate it. Swaim show, when the police have to shoot someone, they get into suspension pending the investigation. Harbaugh should be suspended pending the investigation, and they may be terminated. Well, we go back to Connor Stallions. He was suspended. Just like that. When the story broke, Connor Stallions was suspended. Why? He wasn't given his due process. What due process? I made a video. I put it out on Twitter when I was sitting in the car. I had my suit on, my suit jacket on, and I made a little video on my Twitter account. Bring Connor back. Bring Connor back. Why not? You did nothing wrong. There's nothing against the rules. You didn't do anything no one else did. So bring him back. Obviously, I was being sarcastic there. What happened to Connor Stallion's due process? He was suspended because something seemed a bit off. Well, Big Ten has a whole lot of evidence. So Jim Harbaugh representing the football program. It's the University of Michigan that is being sanctioned. You can't suspend a whole university. You suspend the head coach because it happened in the Michigan football program. Correct? Swaim says, I'm starting to agree with this. This is one of the parts of the story I'm a little shocked about. Had respect for Michigan as an academic institution until they pulled this. A shame to try and save a verified cheater at the expense of a university's academic integrity. I understand fan bases. Fan bases always circle the wagons when they're accused, their program accused of cheating. This is not a Michigan thing. Everybody does it. I even can kind of go and say, look, a lot of those Michigan beat writers, they own those websites. They don't want to piss off. They don't want to get upset their own consumer by saying, look, if Michigan did this, because people would leave their websites. I even get that. Although some of the stories they made up out of thin air the last couple of weeks, including this morning that Tony Petitti was backing up. I mean, shame on them. But I can kind of understand it. But the university itself, the way the president conducted himself so far, I agree with Swain. Not good, especially for the University of Michigan, a pillar of Big Ten university. Take an ounce of responsibility. Nope, they just won't. Even Jeff Olson, the evil Badger, the evilness of Jeff Olson, because he's a Badger. He's also a very good friend of mine. He realizes Michigan, no responsibility, no nothing. In fact, the University of Michigan didn't even tell the truth on that they received the evidence. They have received the evidence. Mountains of evidence. They received photo, video. They've received all of it thus far. They've had time to look at it. I agree. I agree with Swain and Jeff Olson. Something's a little off there. Something is not right. And we've talked about this before. We're going to bring it up again here. The one other part I haven't got to is, this is part of the Big Ten's comment back to everybody, but back to Michigan. Information, including videos of future opponent signs, was delivered back to the staff member by those who attended the games and taken the videos at his direction. So the part of this elaborate scheme, right, where people who sat in seats the Conner Stallions bought filmed future opponent games. The last part of it, during the time in question, including through the university's 7th game of the 2023 season. So the last couple of years, plus 7 games into the 2023 season, the staff member, which is Conner Stallions, was present on the university sidelines, dressed similarly to the university coaches, in close proximity to university coaches, and he communicated directly with such coaches. Just want to put that up there. We haven't put that up there yet. So there's been a lot of information, all the evidence Michigan had. So when they said on November 8th, when they seen lack of evidence, why did they say that in their letter? Why did Michigan say that? Congrats to Nebraska for moving out of the Big Ten doghouse to make room for Michigan. Michigan's going to be Michigan again, but Harbaugh didn't cover up nothing. They've got nothing on him. So far, the evidence shows that Harbaugh did not directly involve himself or knew of this scheme. However, it doesn't matter because the 2023 NCAA law says the bylaw says even if the coach doesn't know, he still is responsible for the actions that are happening on his staff, actions that are prohibited. So it doesn't matter that Harbaugh did not know. Does not matter. Does not matter. But thus far, it shows that he had no direct knowledge. Although the coaches haven't been interviewed yet, more investigation is coming. Pete Thamel has done a wonderful job reporting this story. He's been absolutely 100% accurate. Just like he was with the Big 12, Colorado, SEC. So we can call it, you want to call him Greasy Pete Thamel, but he nailed the story. So keep it's Greg, let me have fun. Okay, phone lines are open, 763-260-1333. The lines are open. Give us a call. Again, the Big Ten dropped the hammer. The Big Ten dropped the hammer. 2-game suspension. I'm looking through the letter. I don't know how much... You can read the letter that the Big Ten sent. Basically, they're saying they've got all the evidence they need.
Call from
Immaculate.
Immaculate? What's up, sir?
Hey, I just want to point out to you real quick. I don't know if you saw, but the TRO is being filed.
Okay, alrighty.
Michigan came out. Looks like they're pissed that they did this on a Friday on Veterans Day, trying to block them from being able to handle it. And so, kind of looks like they might have had a judge hanging out waiting to.
I'm sure they did. Yeah.
So I think you're going to have Harbaugh walk out onto the field with the team, and you're probably going to have the loudest boo you've ever heard from the crowd because this is going to be at Penn State.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyways, I just wanted to point that out because, that changes everything, including what we even talked about. So.
Well, I don't think it changed. I mean, it changes that Jim Harbaugh might be on the sideline this Saturday.
Which is the entire suspension. It's just keeping him off the side. So
sure. Sure. Yep. Yeah. For this. Yeah, you're right. For this round, yes, but.
Yeah, effectively. It doesn't remove that this was done to him and the statement against the school, but in terms of actually keeping him off the field, if that's already signed, sealed, and delivered,
yeah,
going to be on the field.
Yep.
Anyway, I thought that was interesting. Thought I'd call in and point that out to you.
Got it. All righty, man.
All
Appreciate it, Immaculate.
Yep. Oh, and also, by the way, we are doing a show later. If anyone wants to stop by, I'm sure we'll be talking about this again later then as well, to how much joy that'll be. But look forward to seeing folks there if they stop by. Catch you later.
Appreciate it. Okay, so temporary restraining order. Looks like it's going to happen. Probably. Dennis Stott. Again, this is something we pointed out at Peek Around the Corner about a week ago. This is as stunning an on-field scandal as I can remember. Big Ten members were concerned not only with being allegedly cheated, but player safety. For what I believe is the first time NCAA shared what looks like its entire case file mid-investigation. So everything Everything the NCAA has, Big Ten has, and Michigan has. So as Dennis Dodd said, Stallions bought tickets to last year's SEC's championship game. Good Lord, he scouted Georgia. Not only scouting, wasn't just scouting, he filmed Georgia, right? He filmed Georgia. Oh my God, will Penn State actually ban him from the stadium? I don't know. Love to see stadium security has come out. I don't know. I don't think they can do that. I don't think they can do that. This is Ross Dellinger, NCAA statement on the sharing of information with the Big Ten. NCAA statement on the sharing of information with the Big Ten during an active investigation. The NCAA takes competition integrity seriously, and when the association has reason to raise time-sensitive issues with schools and leagues concerning competitive integrity, it has and will continue to do so. The NCAA received consent from the school before sharing the information referenced in the document. NCAA investigative and infractions process will continue in this manner. Because this is a integrity issue, a competition integrity issue, there's a time sensitivity to all this, right? Chad Bracey. Penn State should get a restraining order for Harbaugh. PSU nitwit, the injunction would not stop Penn State from banning him from the stadium. Wow. Wow. This is getting heated. This is getting heated, ladies and gentlemen. Huffer Billy Paul. The TRO reflects even more poorly on Michigan. Jeez, Michigan. What the bleep? Jeff Beaver brings up a very good comment. If a judge issues an injunction and he is able to coach against Penn State, might the Big Ten then add another game to a suspension, which would include the Big Ten championship game? Great question. Great question. I don't know. Maybe. TRO is a temporary restraining order. Fighting Illini, Ted. Michigan is testing the cohesiveness of the Big Ten, daring them to back off to a conference pot. Well, the Big Ten's united. I mean, there's so much. Look, this is not. I don't know. From my perspective, and from what I've heard, this is not even 13 schools are all aligned. This was so egregious, and it happened for so long. Now, there might be some different opinions on how much it helped Michigan competitively. Like Lincoln Riley said, this could help you by 2 touchdowns. Lincoln Riley said that. Then others say no, maybe not. I mean, so, but whatever. This was taboo to do this type of stuff. And how much Michigan did it, that's the thing. They didn't just scout the Buckeyes. They scouted Purdue and the rest of us. They didn't want to hammer us by 30 like they would have done anyways. They want to hammer us by 40. Okay, let's see if there's any other breaking stuff out there. Bruce Feldman says that the Big Ten has suspended Jim Harbaugh, and we would expect Michigan to get an injunction to clear Harbaugh to be on the sidelines tomorrow coaching against Penn State. So Michigan is just, even with all the evidence stacked against them, they're going to fight it the whole way through. Jim Carparoni, Michigan State beat writer. Jim Harbaugh shouldn't be allowed to attend practice or film sessions. The penalty is not stiff enough. Michigan has become a renegade win-at-all-cost program, complete with deflect and denial. Suspended twice in the same season for different violations. It's pretty hard to commit NCAA infractions these days. But his program found a way to commit a couple of doozies, and he continues to play dumb about it. I'm telling you, Big Ten is hot. Maybe Michigan isn't what Michigan used to be. Maybe something happened. Well, we've heard. Great question, Go Black 45. Greg, when do the other power plays at Michigan that don't give a damn about football step in and say enough of this crap? We did hear that there is a person on the Board of Regents, actually 2 people, who are not supportive of what Michigan's doing. Very good question, Go Black 45. And I don't have the answer. Why? I don't have the answer to that. Great question, though. Great question. Broomba, this potentially could taint the entire football season, and all the teams are affected directly and indirectly. It already has, to be honest. It already has. And there is, hold on now. Here's Jim Harbaugh in State College, Pennsylvania. And there is an emergency tarmac meeting. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. They have arrived. They'll probably get that injunction, and Jim Harbaugh will probably be on the sidelines of the Penn State game. We shall see. What Penn State will do, I don't know. But the Big Ten is already kind of, you could see it in their response back to Michigan. The Big Ten is also kind of like, what you said in that November 8th letter, some of that was just not true at all. You have the evidence. You've seen a lot of the evidence. How can you say you don't have the evidence? It's right there. So the Big Ten, Mark, Michigan should go solo. The super conference experiment is going to hurt too many teams. It's time for a change. I mean, if these conferences won't let you cheat, it's time to go solo. Thank you, Mark, for the comment. Appreciate it. Super conferences are going to have a hard time staying together. There can be fractures made. We don't know what the future holds. Some of that is true, Mark. I don't. You know what, man? SEC, if there was one school that was doing in-person scouting, the SEC would be acting the same way. And none of the other schools were doing it, and there was all this evidence that they were doing it. Okay, well, I think we're going to shut down this live show. No more phone calls are coming in. I appreciate you all for coming in. Big Ten drops the hammer on Michigan. Sanctions Michigan. And Jim Harbaugh has to pay the penalty. So 3-game suspension. Jim Harbaugh, Big Ten ruled he can't be on the sidelines against Penn State, Maryland, or Ohio State. Other penalties could be happening depending on the information, the evidence that flows in. It looks like Michigan's going to get an injunction. They'll probably argue the case that Jim Harbaugh, there's no direct knowledge that Jim Harbaugh had anything to do with it. So here we are. Jim Harbaugh will probably show up for tomorrow's game. Penn State versus Michigan, going to be a great game. Big time atmosphere. I appreciate you all for coming on in. If you're new to the channel, before you leave, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell. Smash that like button if you liked our content. I appreciate all the great comments, phone calls. Tomorrow, football, finally. We'll get right back at it, talking football. Tomorrow night, I'm going to be coming on live. We'll see if I do a watch party, if we just talk college football in general. So until next time, which is going to be tomorrow night, until next time, from all of us at PATC, to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.